Some advice that I've heard given to newer disc golfers more times than I can count is to throw slower discs, like putters and mid-ranges. And there's multiple reasons that's good advice. They're easier to control, more forgiving, and tend to teach better form. But one of the other reasons I hear is that when you're new, putters and mid-ranges will fly just as far as your drivers. In fact, that's advice that I have given myself. But is this actually true? Well, today we're going to try to find out, because we have 4 players of varying skill and power levels, from FA4 to MA4, MA2, and MPO, throwing discs from speed 1 to speed 13 to find out which one flies the farthest. Today's video is sponsored by Idio Sports. More about the all-new Synchrony Evo and Brawler in just a bit. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and this is Flight Numbers Don't Matter, where we conduct large-scale tests and comparisons of discs to see if these flight numbers are really all they're cracked up to be. And today we'll be focusing on just one flight number: speed. Many newer disc golfers believe that speed as a flight number just means this disc goes farther. But is that actually true? I've also heard speed described as the speed at which you have to throw a disc to get the right flight. For example, you can't throw an 8 speed as fast as a 13 speed because then the 8 speed will not fly as intended. Now is probably a good time to bring in an expert opinion. According to Innova, who invented flight numbers, speed is the rate at which a disc can travel through the air. Speed 14 distance drivers are the fastest, having the PDGA maximum legal wing width. They go on to say something that might give us a clue about our results later. High-speed discs are not recommended for beginners as they require more power to fly properly. But I'm not sure if that's always true. So let's talk about how today's test is going to work. We have 4 players of very different skill and power levels throwing today. Starting with Team Six Sided Discs' Caleb Thomas, he's going to be throwing for our MPO level today, pushing over 65 miles an hour or more on his backhand throws. I'll be throwing for MA2, which is where I would play if I played in a competitive sanctioned event. My backhands are probably right around 50 miles an hour, but I will also be testing my forehand today because I can definitely throw faster on forehand. My friend Josh here is going to be throwing for us at the MA4 or casual level today. And my wife Emily is throwing for FA4. Neither Josh nor Emily have actually competed in any sort of sanctioned tournament, so they're more like casual players, but if they were to play sanctioned, those are the divisions they would play in. 2 of our 4 throwers also have another thing in common, because my wife Emily and I are both throwing all of our shots today wearing the latest release from today's sponsor, Idio Sports. Idio is excited to announce the new Synchrony Evo and High Top Brawlers are available now. The Synchrony Evo is the next evolution in the only shoe designed for disc golf. With a slimmer profile for improved fit and feel, it also features a stronger drag-on toe cap and new ripstop material for enhanced durability and protection. I purchased a pair of Idio Synchronies last year and used them for several months before I reached out to Idio to sponsor one of our videos. And I'm not only delighted to have them on board again, but I can also report that I still wear my first pair of Synchronies, and they've lasted longer than any disc golf shoe I've tried to use before. Emily and I used their online sizing guide, and the fit and feel is fantastic. But the Synchrony Evo is only half the story for Idio now, because they also released their all-new high-top shoe, the Brawler. The Brawler features everything great about the Synchrony, with the added ankle support of their new Adaptabrace. The Brawler comes with traditional laces, as well as their new quick lacing system that stores conveniently in the lace pocket on the side. I chose the Corey Ellis Brawlers in this beautiful black and purple galaxy design. The fit and feel is very similar to the Synchrony Evo, and as someone who had surgery to repair a torn ligament in my ankle a couple of years ago, the added support is something I really appreciate as well. You can learn more about the Synchrony Evo or Brawler at idiosports.com or at the link in the video description, and use code 6sided for free shipping on your order. Huge thanks to Idio Sports for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to the action. As I said earlier, we're going to be throwing 13 discs from speed 1 to 13. And we've selected all of those from Discraft because I think it was the only brand we actually had 13 discs, one in every speed, to choose from. My intention with choosing all discs from a single brand was that it would reduce the number of variables. And as I discussed in my presentation at Disc South, comparing flight numbers, especially speed, from one brand to another is risky business. Now, if you're a Discraft fan, you might be thinking to yourself, wait, Discraft doesn't have a 1-speed, but technically they do, because this is a 2-speed Roach, And this is what they call a 2-speed rattler. Rattler? Rattler. And this is what they call a 2-speed rattler. But I think if we're being honest, if this disc came out today, it would almost certainly be a 1-speed. Now, we also tried to choose relatively neutrally stable discs from Discraft's lineup. So moving up from the rattler, we'll be throwing a Crystal Roach, Big Z Luna, Big Z Comet, Z Buzz SS, Z Zombie, Z Cicada, Z Swirl Mantis, and I'm sure you're all expecting the Undertaker for 9 speeds, but I couldn't get a hold of one. So the best thing we could get was a slightly beat-in Jawbreaker Raptor, a Z-Die Avenger SS, an ESP Scorch for our 11-speed, ESP Thrasher, and for our 13-speed, a Big Z Crank. Also, importantly, all of these discs are max weight. Now, we'll be throwing these discs multiple times in an open field. The goal is distance, not accuracy, so once each player has registered what they feel like is the maximum distance they can get with that disc, we'll enter it into our graph, which may look something like this. What we're hoping to see is a clear result, showing either for higher arm speeds, as disc speed increases, so does distance, and for lower arm speed, as disc speed increases, they reach a speed at which nothing faster goes farther. Let's begin with my wife Emily, who's representing FA4 and those beginner arm speeds. Now, she has a natural high sort of Anheuser release, and so the neutral stability on most of these discs gave them time to turn and then fight out for decent distance. And her results are pretty interesting. From speed 1 through 7, we see a mostly consistent increase in distance. The Rattler, Roach, and Luna all come in around 140 feet, but then the Buzz SS and Comet jump up into the high 180s, with the Zombie and Cicada pretty close to those mid-ranges. That distance improves again for the 8-speed Mantis and 9-speed Raptor. But it looks like Emily's distance kind of plateaus here. We're seeing decreases in distance with the 10-speed Avenger SS, the 11-speed Scorch, which is quite interesting because it does sort of support that idea that as the disc gets faster, it's harder for her to get a full and complete flight. However, she did register 203 feet with the Thrasher and 198 with the Crank, which are only a few feet off of her best distance of 206 feet with the Mantis. The overall trend on Emily's throws is increasing in average distance, and there's no question that the faster discs on average did travel farther. But I think we'll learn more when we get those distances and sort of compare them against the rest of our throwers. So let's move on to our MA4 thrower, Josh. Josh steps up and gets a great pull on the Rattler, Roach, and Luna, steadily increasing distance each time. And that trend for him continued with the Comet at 222 feet, the Buzz SS at 232 feet, and the Zombie at 255. But interestingly, the Cicada, Mantis, Raptor, and Avenger SS all come in shorter than the Zombie. Josh, though, saved the best for last because his top 3 distances were with the top 3 speeds. 277 feet with the Thrasher, 305 with the Crank, and 312 with the Scorch. And Josh's results here pretty clearly show the faster discs added distance, sort of directly contradicting this advice that most newer players or lower arm speeds get. But will this hold true for our other throwers? Only one way to find out. Yep, it's my turn now. I'll be representing the MA2 level, and I'll be throwing all of these discs on both backhand and forehand. And this does bring in another sort of variable, I guess, because most of these discs I wouldn't throw on forehand, so we'll see how it goes. First up, let's see my backhand, where I kick things off with 248 feet from the Rattler, 272 from the Roach, and 282 from the Luna. I continued increasing the distance with the Comet at 295, but fell off with the Buzz SS and Zombie around 270. I got that upward trend going again, though, with the Cicada at 325 feet. And then I was all over the place. As short as 269 with the Raptor, back over 300 with the Avenger SS and the Scorch. But again, interestingly, I registered my 2 best distances with the 2 fastest discs. 337 with the Thrasher, and 342 with the crank. And this really surprised me because if you were to ask me what my farthest flying disc was, I would probably tell you it's my 10-speed Avenger SS, at least if we're talking about backhands. Looking at my results side by side with Josh's, they are pretty similar. There's a steady increase overall, even though there's a few dips here and there. But how will my forehand compare to my backhand? Well, let's just say things got off to a difficult start. The Rattler, Roach, and Luna aren't exactly what I would choose to throw on forehands, and I believe all three turned into rollers. And if you take a look at these results, the distances are well below my backhand numbers. That is, until we finally got to a disc that I could actually throw on forehand, the Zombie. The Zombie, along with the Avenger SS and Thrasher, actually got some decent flights on forehand. But the winner, by a long way, was the 7-speed Cicada, which crushed not only all the other discs I threw on forehand, but all my backhand throws as well, finishing with an impressive 363 feet, which leaves my two charts looking both very different, but also a bit similar. While there are huge outliers on the forehand chart, which is kind of what I expected, overall the drivers are clearly flying farther, though not necessarily exactly according to speed. The backhand chart also shows the drivers performing kind of as one might expect. So will any of this change for the fastest arm we have available, Team 6-Sided Discs, Caleb Thomas? Well, let's take a look at Caleb's throws one by one. Caleb put up some interesting numbers. He nearly got to 300 feet with the Rattler, which is crazy. The Rattler's like such a weird, slow disc. Pushed 357 with the Roach. That was really impressive. 315 with the Luna, and I think both he and I agreed it could have gone farther. The Comet at 339. Buzz SS at 360. Zombie at 376, and we're sort of consistently increasing distance here. But this is where we start to see things sort of plateau and bounce around a little bit. The Cicada put in 410, the Jawbreaker Raptor 376, the Avenger SS 375, the Crank 398, which left these three shots as Caleb's best distances, with the Scorch at 425, the Thrasher at 426, and surprisingly, the Mantis as his best distance at 460. Caleb put up some excellent numbers here. His distance is peaking in the fairway drivers rather than distance drivers, which is a bit surprising. So where do all these numbers leave us? Well, looking at these charts side by side, I have a lot of different thoughts. The first half of Josh's chart, my backhand, and Caleb's charts are all pretty similar, a steady increase for almost every disc. And the second half of Emily's, Caleb's chart, and mine also look similar, with big distance for the faster fairways and distance drivers. I think it's entirely possible we would see different results if we had used more overstable discs, where that arm speed has a much bigger effect on getting higher speed overstable discs to push out and get a full flight. So let us know if that's something you'd like to see in the future. But if we go back to the advice that new players get, that original statement was putters and mid-ranges fly as far as drivers will. And our data shows that that is definitively false. Faster discs can fly faster. They have less wind resistance and therefore fly farther. However, there does appear to be the potential for diminishing returns. At a certain point, it's not about the speed of the disc, but rather throwing it with the right amount of power and angle to get the maximum flight possible. While distance drivers fly farther on average, there is still a very good reason why we give advice to throw putters and mid-ranges. On tighter fairways, while that extra 20 to 30 feet might be possible, you often need a lot more airspace to get that distance. And if you can throw 250 accurately with a slow fairway or mid-range, as opposed to an inconsistent 280 with a distance driver, I think I know which one I would rather have. What speed disc in your bag flies the farthest? Leave a comment down below. And also comment below what tests or comparisons you want to see in the future from our Flight Numbers Don't Matter series. Oh, and before you go, I'm excited to announce that you can now become a member of our channel. Starting from just $1 a month, you can help support the content we create and get some great perks with early access to weekly videos, priority reply to your comments, and exclusive members-only videos and live streams. Plus, if you join at $4, $7, or $10 a month, you get discounts on all orders from sixsidediscs.com. If you're already buying discs online, why not get a discount that pays for itself? But don't worry, if you prefer to just continue watching our videos the way you always have, nothing will change for you. And if you were already a Patreon supporter, thank you so much for your support, but we will be closing our Patreon on May 1st, so we would suggest canceling that before the next billing cycle and joining us here on YouTube at your earliest convenience. Thank you all very much for your support, and thank you to Idio Sports for sponsoring today's video. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one. Many disc golf... I purchased a pair of... Bet you can't do it again.
More bet? Greg, keep doubting me.
Me finally figuring out how to motivate Caleb. Raptor, like a figure skater. There you go. That was pretty good. I got like a full flex and everything from a Raptor.
There it goes. Okay, get flat. Hello. There we go. There he is.
Oh yeah, get up. Get up. Stay there. There we go. A little lift. A little lift. Hey.
There's the wind making me look better.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Thresher. Thresher. You've taken a Thresher shack.
Taika Waititi.
Bite your bloody leg off.
Have you come to start the revolution?
Hi guys, my name is Craig. I like to throw frisbees. Made out of rocks. Nothing to worry about unless you're made of scissors.
Just a little rock, paper, scissors joke. Got attention.
If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or becoming a member. Your support makes this content possible.